April 11th, 1945, 1:43 p.m. 50 miles east of Okinawa, Admiral William Halsey Jr. stands on the flag bridge of USS Missouri, watching his fleet. 1,300 ships spread across the Pacific, the largest naval armada ever assembled, carriers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, all under his command. Then the alarm sounds. Kamikaze. Inbound. High speed. The radar operator's voice cracks. He's tracking 47 aircraft, all of them heading straight for the fleet. All of them piloted by men who have already written their farewell letters home. Men who tied hachimaki headbands around their foreheads this morning. Men who will be dead in 20 minutes, one way or another. The sky erupts. Every ship in the fleet opens fire simultaneously. 5-inch guns, 40mm Bofors, 20mm Oerlikon cannons. Tracers arc upward like reverse rain. The noise is physical, a pressure wave that hits you in the chest. Halsey doesn't move, doesn't flinch. He's watching. The Japanese aircraft break. Formation. They're Zeros, Vals, Judies. Obsolete models, patched together from salvaged parts. It doesn't matter. They're not trying to dogfight. They're trying to die. And take American ships with them. A Mitsubishi A6M0 breaks through the screen. It's burning. The left wing is on fire, smoke trailing behind like a comet. The pilot doesn't pull up, doesn't bail out. He pushes the stick forward and dives, straight toward Missouri, straight toward Halsey. 1,500 feet, 1,000 feet, 500 feet. The anti-aircraft batteries traverse, tracking. Gunners are screaming coordinates. The 20mm cannons sound like jackhammers. The Zero is 300 feet away. Halsey can see the rising sun painted on the fuselage, can see the pilot in the cockpit. A kid, maybe 19, maybe 20. His face is set, determined. No fear, no hesitation, just purpose. 200 feet. If that aircraft hits Missouri's flag bridge, it will kill Admiral Halsey, the commander of the entire Third Fleet, the man directing the largest battle in naval history. 150 feet. Then the sky tears apart. A burst of 40mm shells catches the Zero's engine. The cowling disintegrates. Pieces of aluminum and steel spray outward. The aircraft shudders, loses stability. The pilot is dead or dying, but his hands are still on the controls. The Zero drops. Not a dive anymore. A fall. It hits the water 50 yards from Missouri's starboard side. The explosion sends up a column of water and aviation fuel that rises higher than the ship's superstructure. Fragments of wreckage pepper the deck. A piece of the Zero's landing gear skitters across the teak planking and stops 10 feet from where Halsey is standing. The Admiral looks at it, looks at the burning debris floating on the ocean, looks back at his fleet. That was close. That's all he says. William Frederick Halsey Jr. was born October 30th, 1882 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. His father was a Naval Academy graduate, class of 1873. Young Bill grew up hearing sea stories, studying ship models, reading accounts of naval battles. There was never any question what he would do with his life. He reported to Annapolis at age 18. The Naval Academy in 1900 was brutal. Upperclassmen hazed plebes mercilessly. The academic load was crushing. Navigation, gunnery, engineering, tactics. Most candidates washed out in the first year. Halsey didn't. He played fullback on the football team, ran track, boxed in the interclass competitions. He wasn't the smartest midshipman in his class, wasn't the most polished, but he had something else. Drive. An absolute refusal to quit. He graduated 43rd out of 62 in the class of 1904. Not distinguished, but good enough. Commissioned as an ensign, assigned to the battleship USS Missouri. The old Missouri, not the one he'll stand on 41 years later during the Kamikaze attack. For the next decade, Halsey serves on destroyers. Small ships, fast ships, the kind that operate close to the enemy. He learns seamanship the hard way. Storms in the North Atlantic, engine breakdowns in the middle of the Pacific. Navigating by dead reckoning when the fog is so thick you can't see your own bow. World War I comes. Halsey commands destroyers in the Atlantic, hunting German U-boats. He escorts convoys, protects troop ships, never fires a shot in anger. The war ends before he sees combat. It frustrates him. He joined the Navy to fight. Instead, he spent 4 years shepherding merchant ships across safe waters. But he learns convoy operations, anti-submarine tactics, how to manage men under stress. Skills that will matter later. After the war, the Navy shrinks. Congress slashes budgets. Ships are mothballed. Officers are forced into retirement. Halsey stays in, barely. He commands destroyers through the 1920s. Gets promoted to captain in 1927. At age 45, He's a middle-aged officer with a mediocre academy record and no combat experience. His career is unremarkable. He should retire in a few years with a pension and a handshake. Then aviation changes everything. Captain Halsey is 52 years old, too old for flight school by any reasonable standard. The Navy requires pilots to be under 30. Halsey doesn't care. He enrolls anyway. Not as a pilot, as an observer. Naval Aviation Observer School, Pensacola, Florida. He learns navigation, gunnery, aircraft recognition, radio procedures. Gets his wings as a naval aviation observer in 1935. It's enough. Under Navy regulations, an officer with aviation wings can command aircraft carriers. Halsey transfers to carrier duty. Within 3 years, he's commanding USS Saratoga, one of the Navy's largest carriers. Then, USS Yorktown. By 1940, he's a rear admiral, commanding Carrier Division II, the oldest carrier admiral in the fleet, and possibly the most aggressive. December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor, the Japanese strike at dawn. 8 battleships sunk or damaged. 188 aircraft destroyed. 2,403 Americans dead. The Pacific Fleet is crippled. America is at war. Where is Admiral Halsey during the attack? At sea. His task force, built around carrier USS Enterprise, is returning from Wake Island. They're 200 miles west of Oahu when the Japanese hit. Enterprise launches search planes. They fly into Pearl Harbor expecting a normal Sunday morning. Instead, they find hell. Burning ships, oil-slicked water, bodies floating in the harbor. Some of Enterprise's aircraft are shot down by nervous American anti-aircraft gunners who can't tell friend from foe. Halsey radios Pearl Harbor, requests permission to hunt the Japanese carrier force. Permission denied. Get back to base. Refuel. Regroup. Halsey is furious. The enemy is out there somewhere. 6 carriers that just gutted the Pacific Fleet, and he's being ordered to run home. But he follows orders. Enterprise docks at Pearl on December 8th. Halsey walks through the devastation. Capsized battleships, shattered hangars, wreckage everywhere, the smell of oil and death. He makes a promise to himself that day. The Japanese will pay. Every ship, every plane, every man. He will make them pay. The early months of 1942 are desperate. The Japanese are everywhere. Philippines, Malaya, Singapore, Wake Island, Guam. They're winning, fast. The American Pacific Fleet has been reduced to 3 carriers and a handful of cruisers. Halsey commands one of those carriers, Enterprise. In February, he leads the first American offensive of the war, a carrier raid on the Marshall Islands. It's a small operation, barely a pinprick, but it proves something important. American carriers can hit back. They can penetrate Japanese-held waters, launch strikes, and escape. Halsey becomes the face of American resistance in the Pacific. Aggressive, confident, quotable. Hit hard, hit fast, hit often. That's his motto. The press loves him. They call him Bull Halsey. The nickname sticks. April 18th, 1942. Halsey commands the task force that launches the Doolittle raid. 16 B-25 bombers, taking off from USS Hornet to bomb Tokyo, the first American attack on the Japanese home islands. The raid does minimal damage, but the psychological impact is massive. Japan thought itself invincible, untouchable. Halsey and Doolittle proved them wrong. After the raid, Halsey is supposed to take Enterprise to the Battle of the Coral Sea, but he's sick. Severe dermatitis, stress-related. His skin covered in painful lesions. He's hospitalized. Misses the battle. Misses Midway too, the turning point of the Pacific War. He spends 3 months in the hospital, watching other admirals win the battles he should have fought. By October 1942, Halsey is back. He's sent to the South Pacific, given command of all Allied forces in the area. His job is to take Guadalcanal. The Marines have been fighting there for 2 months, dying in the jungle, running low on supplies, losing ships every week too. Japanese naval bombardments. Halsey changes everything. More aggressive tactics, more risks, more attacks. The Naval Battle of Guadalcanal, November 13th and 15th, 1942. 2 nights of brutal ship-to-ship combat at point-blank range. Halsey's forces sink 11 Japanese ships, lose 2 battleships in return, but they win. The Japanese can no longer reinforce Guadalcanal. The island falls to the Americans in February 1943. Halsey gets his 3rd star, Vice Admiral, 1943 and 1944. Halsey drives north, through the Solomon Islands, Bougainville, Rabaul, Green Island, leapfrogging Japanese strongpoints, isolating garrisons, letting them wither. His forces sink hundreds of Japanese ships, shoot down thousands of aircraft. The Japanese start calling him the devil. Not an insult. Respect. They know who he is. They know what he does. October 1944. The Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle in history. 4 separate engagements over 3 days. 200,000 sailors, 282 ships, hundreds of aircraft. Halsey commands the 3rd Fleet, the carrier force covering the American invasion of the Philippines. The Japanese send everything they have left: battleships, cruisers, carriers, destroyers. Their plan is complex, multi-pronged, designed to draw Halsey out of position. It works. The Japanese use their remaining carriers as bait. 4 carriers, barely any aircraft aboard. Just hulls, floating targets. But Halsey doesn't know that. When his scouts report enemy carriers to the north, he takes his entire fleet and chases them, leaves the invasion beaches uncovered. The Japanese battleship force breaks through. Yamato, Nagato, Kongo, the most powerful battleships in the world. They're heading straight for the American invasion fleet. Hundreds of unarmored transports, supply ships, troops and landing craft. If those battleships get through, it's a massacre. The only thing standing between the Japanese and total disaster is a small group of American escort carriers and destroyers. Taffy 3, 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, 4 destroyer escorts, against 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 11 destroyers. The destroyers attack: USS Johnston, USS Hole, USS Samuel B. Roberts. They charge the Japanese battleships like terriers attacking bears, firing torpedoes, making smoke, drawing fire away from the carriers. They're outnumbered, outgunned, doomed. They attack anyway. Johnston is hit 40 times. She sinks with her captain, Commander Ernest Evans, still on the bridge. Hole takes more than 40 hits, sinks with 253 men aboard. Samuel B. Roberts, a destroyer escort so small she shouldn't even be in a fleet action, fights until her ammunition is gone. Then she rams. She sinks, but she buys time. The Japanese turn back. They think they're facing Halsey's main fleet. They don't realize they've just been fought to a standstill by a handful of destroyers and escort carriers. Halsey, meanwhile, has caught the Japanese carrier force. He sinks all 4 carriers. A perfect victory. Except it isn't. When Halsey returns and learns what happened at Safi Point, he's devastated. His carriers were chasing empty decks while American destroyers were dying to save the invasion fleet. The press criticizes him. Fellow admirals question his judgment. Nimitz, the Pacific Fleet commander, sends a terse message. Where is Task Force 34? The world wonders. It's the low point of Halsey's career. He considers resigning, but the war isn't over. December 1944. Halsey's fleet runs into a typhoon. He doesn't change course in time. 3 destroyers capsize and sink. 790 men drown. 9 other ships are damaged. 146 aircraft are lost, blown overboard or wrecked. A court of inquiry finds Halsey guilty of poor judgment. He's reprimanded. He keeps his command, but barely. 2 catastrophic mistakes in 2 months. Most admirals would be relieved. Halsey hangs on. By April 1945, Halsey is 62 years old. He's been at war for 3.5 years. He's tired. Everyone is tired. But the end is in sight. Okinawa, the last stepping stone before Japan itself. 70 miles long, 7 miles wide, 340 miles from the Japanese home islands. If the Americans take Okinawa, they'll have airfields close enough to bomb Japan around the clock. Staging areas for the invasion. It will be the death blow. The Japanese know this. They're going to fight for Okinawa like they've never fought before. Operation Iceberg, the invasion of Okinawa, begins April 1st, 1945. 183,000 American troops go ashore, the largest amphibious assault of the Pacific War. They expect fierce resistance on the beaches. Instead, they find nothing. The Japanese have pulled back. They're dug into the southern part of the island. Caves, tunnels, fortified positions. They're going to make the Americans bleed for every yard. And they're going to use a new weapon. Kamikaze, special attack units, pilots who volunteer to die. The first organized kamikaze attacks occurred during the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Individual pilots, desperate acts. By Okinawa, it's systematic. Hundreds of aircraft, thousands of pilots, all trained for one mission: find an American ship and crash into it. The Japanese call it Operation Tengo, floating chrysanthemums. Waves of aircraft attacking in groups. overwhelming the American defenses. If a pilot returns without finding a target, he's dishonored. He must volunteer again and again until he dies. The mathematics are brutal but simple. Japan has more pilots than it has fuel, more aircraft than it has experienced aviators. Better to use them as weapons than waste them in conventional combat. A kamikaze doesn't need to be a good pilot. He just needs to point his aircraft at a ship and hold the stick steady. The first major kamikaze wave hits Okinawa on April 6, 1945, 355 aircraft. 341 of them are kamikazes. They sink 6 ships, damage 18 others. The Americans shoot down 322 aircraft, but 33 get through. 33 out of 355. That's a 9% success rate. In conventional terms, a 91% failure rate. But the kamikaze aren't measuring success by survival. They're measuring success by ships destroyed. And the numbers work. Every ship sunk costs America resources, time, lives, resources Japan doesn't have to match. It's arithmetic. Cold, brutal, effective. April 11th, 1945. The second major kamikaze wave. 47 aircraft this time. Smaller force, but more focused. They're targeting the fleet's heavy units, carriers, battleships, command ships. Missouri is the newest battleship in the fleet. Commissioned in June 1944. 58,000 tons, 9 16-inch guns, the most advanced fire control systems in the world. She's also Admiral Halsey's flagship. 3rd Fleet Headquarters. If Missouri sinks, command and control for the entire Okinawa operation could collapse. At least temporarily, the Japanese know this. American admirals fly their flags from the biggest, most visible ships. Kill the flagship, kill the admiral. It's a prize worth dying for. The raid comes in fast. Low altitude approach, barely 50 feet above the waves. Under the radar coverage. By the time Missouri's lookouts spot them, the kamikazes are already inside the defensive perimeter. The fleet opens fire. Wall of steel. Every ship within range is shooting. The sky fills with black puffs of anti-aircraft bursts. Tracers crisscross like a laser. Light show. The noise is incredible. Halsey is on the flag bridge. His staff officers are shouting reports. Bandits at 2 o'clock. Bandits at 10 o'clock. Splashed. Splashed. That means destroyed. One kamikaze crashes into destroyer USS Kidd. Another hits battleship USS Missouri's sister ship USS Wisconsin. Minor damage. Both ships stay operational, but 2 got through. 2 out of 47. The mathematics continue. Then someone screams, "Bogey! Starboard side! Diving!" Halsey turns. The Zero is already in its attack run. Diving at a 45-degree angle. Engine screaming. The pilot has pushed the throttle to maximum. The aircraft is shaking apart from the speed and stress. Fragments of the cowling are peeling off. But it's not breaking up. Not yet. Missouri's starboard side batteries traverse. 40mm quad mounts swinging to track the target. The gunners are farm boys from Iowa, factory workers from Detroit, kids who'd never seen the ocean before they joined the Navy. They've been trained for this exact scenario. Drill after drill after drill. Track the target. Lead it. Compensate for your own ship's motion. Fire. The Bofors open up. 40mm shells. Each one the size of a beer bottle. 120 rounds per minute per mount. Missouri has 20 quad mounts on the starboard side. That's 9,600 rounds per minute pouring into the sky. The Zero flies through it. Pieces of the wing tear off. The canopy shatters. The pilot is probably already dead. Doesn't matter. The aircraft is locked in. Gravity and momentum are doing the work now. 1,000 feet. Halsey can see it clearly. The red Hinomaru on the wings. The bent propeller. The bomb strapped under the fuselage. 250 kilograms of high explosive. If that hits Missouri's bridge, everyone there dies, including Halsey. 800 feet. A F-6F Hellcat fighter, Combat Air Patrol, screams in from above. The pilot's name is Lieutenant Robert Murray. He's from Sacramento, California. 23 years old. 14 confirmed kills. He saw the IT-0 breakthrough, pushed his stick forward, dove after it. He's too late for a gun solution. Can't get his sights lined up. The angles are wrong. The Zero is moving too fast. But Murray doesn't give up. He does something insane. He rams. Not head on. That would kill them both. He comes in from the side, clips the Zero's tail with his wing. The impact tears the Zero's rudder off. The kamikaze goes into an uncontrolled spin. The pilot, dead or alive, can't correct. The aircraft tumbles, breaks apart in midair. The engine section, the heaviest piece, falls toward Missouri. It's going to hit the deck, not the bridge, not the flag bridge where Halsey is standing. The main deck, aft section, near turret 3. The Missouri's crew braces. Men hit the deck, cover their heads. The engine hits, 1,000 pounds of steel and aluminum traveling at 400 miles per hour. It smashes through the teak decking, punches into the armor, doesn't penetrate. The armor holds. But in the FAU, engine crumples, splits open, fuel sprays across the deck. Doesn't ignite. The damage control teams are already moving. Fire hoses, foam, extinguishers. They douse everything. Contain the fuel before it can catch. The 250-kilogram bomb, separated from the rest of the aircraft, hits the water 30 yards from the ship. It doesn't explode. Dud. Or maybe it wasn't armed yet. The pilot never got close enough to pull the arming pin. Missouri's crew swarms over the wreckage. They're pulling pieces of the Zero off the deck, cataloging everything. Intelligence will want to see this. Confirm the aircraft type. Try to identify the pilot. See if there's anything useful. They find the pilot's body, or parts of it. He's 19 years old according to the papers in his flight suit. His name is Setsuo Ishino. From Fukuoka, he wrote a letter to his mother before he took off. It's still in his pocket, dry, undamaged. One of Missouri's officers, a Japanese language specialist, translates it. The letter says he's proud to die for the emperor. He hopes his sacrifice will protect Japan. He apologizes for any dishonor he brought to the family. He asks his mother not to cry. The officer stops reading, folds the letter, gives it to Halsey. The admiral reads it, doesn't say anything, puts it in his pocket. 3 days later, the crew of Missouri will bury Setsuo Ishino at sea. Full military honors. The crew stands at attention. A chaplain reads from the Bible. A burial detail folds a Japanese flag, salvaged from the Zero's wreckage. They place Ishino's remains, what's left of them, in a canvas sack weighted with chains. A bosun's mate pipes the side. The sack goes over the rail, sinks. Halsey is there. He doesn't have to be. Admirals don't attend burials of enemy combatants. But he's there anyway, standing at attention, saluting. Someone asks him why later. He says, he was brave, misguided, but brave. We honor that. Lieutenant Robert Murray, the pilot who rammed the Kamikaze, crash lands his damaged Hellcat on USS Yorktown, a carrier 20 miles away. He can't reach Missouri. His wing is shredded. His engine is overheating. He brings the Hellcat in on fumes, touches down. The aircraft veers left, damaged landing gear collapsing. It skids across the deck, crashes into a parked bomber. Murray walks away with a broken arm and a concussion. They give him the Navy Cross, second highest decoration for valor. Halsey personally pins it on him 6 weeks later. Tells him, "You saved my life, son. If there's ever anything I can do for you, you let me know." Murray will survive the war, become a commercial airline pilot, fly for United Airlines for 30 years. Retire in 1975. He never tells anyone about ramming the Kamikaze, doesn't think it's a big deal, just did his job. When reporters track him down in the 1980s, ask him about it, he shrugs, says, "That Jap was going to hit the Missouri. I couldn't let that happen." Admiral Halsey was on that ship. The Kamikaze attacks on Okinawa continue through June. 10 major raids, 1,465 Kamikaze sorties in total. They sink 36 American ships, damage 368 more. 4,900 American sailors are killed. Another 4,800 are wounded. It's the highest casualty rate for the U.S. Navy in any single battle of the war. More sailors die at Okinawa than at Guadalcanal, Midway, and Leyte Gulf combined. The Kamikazes are terrifying not because they're effective. They're terrifying because they never stop. You can shoot down 90% of them, and the other 10% will still kill you. There's no negotiation, no surrender, no mercy, just math. How many ships can America afford to lose? How many sailors can die before the advance stops? The Japanese are betting America will flinch first. They're wrong. June 22nd, 1945. Okinawa is secured. 82 days of fighting, 12,000 American dead. 50,000 wounded. The Japanese lose 100,000 soldiers. 40,000 conscripted Okinawan civilians die in the crossfire. The island is a graveyard, but it's American now. Airfields are operational. B-29 superfortresses are already using them, flying north to bomb Japan. The invasion of the home islands is scheduled for November. Operation Downfall. It will be the largest amphibious assault in history. 5 million American troops. Casualties are estimated at 500,000 to 1 million. Halsey will command the naval forces. Third Fleet, hundreds of ships. He's already planning, already preparing. Then, August 6, 1945, Hiroshima. August 9th, Nagasaki. 2 atomic bombs. 200,000 people dead in seconds. August 15th, Emperor Hirohito announces Japan's surrender. The war is over. September 2nd, 1945. Tokyo Bay. The formal surrender ceremony happens on the deck of USS Missouri, Halsey's flagship, the same ship a Kamikaze nearly destroyed 5 months earlier, the same deck where Setsuo Ishino's engine left a dent in the armor. It's still there. The crew wanted to repair it, Halsey told them to leave it. A reminder, Japanese diplomats and military officials board Missouri. They're stiff, formal, humiliated. General MacArthur presides over the ceremony. Representatives from the U.S., Britain, China, the Soviet Union, all present. Halsey stands to the side, watching. The Japanese sign the surrender documents. MacArthur signs. It's over. 4 years. Millions dead. The greatest naval war in history. Halsey doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate. He just stands there, looking at the Japanese delegates, thinking about all the men who died to bring them here, thinking about Setsuo Ishino. After the war, Halsey is promoted to Fleet Admiral, 5 stars, the highest rank in the U.S. Navy. Only 4 men achieve it during World War II. Halsey retires in 1947, moves to California, spends his retirement fishing, giving speeches, attending Navy functions. He writes his autobiography, Admiral Halsey's Story, published in 1947. It's honest, sometimes brutally so. He admits his mistakes. The carriers at Leyte Gulf, the Typhoon. He doesn't make excuses, takes full responsibility. Critics love him for it. I made mistakes, he writes. Big ones. Men died because of my decisions. I'll carry that to my grave. He does. August 16, 1959. Halsey dies of a heart attack at his home in Pasadena. He's 76 years old. They bury him at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 2, Grave 1183. Full military honors. A Navy band plays. Sailors fire volleys. An admiral folds the flag, presents it to Halsey's widow. The president sends a letter. Dozens of admirals attend. Men who served under Halsey. Men who served with him. Men who fought against him and lived to respect him. In Japan, newspapers publish obituaries. They call him the devil again, but there's respect in it now. A worthy enemy, one paper writes. He fought with honor. The Yamato Museum in Kure, Japan, has a small exhibit about Halsey. Photos, artifacts, descriptions of battles. There's a note about Setsuo Ishino, about the burial at sea, about Halsey's insistence on military honors. Even in war, the exhibit text reads, Admiral Halsey understood Bushido, the warrior code, respect for a brave enemy. It's the highest compliment Japanese culture can give. Here's what the story of the Kamikaze attack on Halsey tells us. War is chaos. You can plan, you can prepare, you can have the biggest ships, the best weapons, the most experienced crews. None of it matters. If one kid in a burning aircraft gets lucky, or unlucky, depending on your perspective. Setsuo Ishino came within 800 feet of changing the course of World War II. If Lieutenant Murray hadn't rammed that zero, if the anti-aircraft gunners had been 1 second slower, if the bomb had armed, if the engine had hit the bridge instead of the deck, Admiral Halsey dies. Third Fleet loses its commander in the middle of the largest battle of the Pacific War. Command structure breaks down. Orders get delayed. Ships operate on their own initiative. Maybe it doesn't change the outcome. America still takes Okinawa, still drops the atomic bombs, still wins the war. Or maybe it does change things. Maybe without Halsey's leadership, the fleet takes heavier losses. Maybe the invasion of Japan happens. Maybe another 1 million people die. We'll never know. Because Robert Murray was brave enough to ram a Kamikaze, and a 19-year-old kid from Fukuoka missed by 50 yards. That's the truth about war. The big moments, the famous battles, the turning points, they all come down to individual decisions made in seconds by people whose names nobody remembers. Murray could have pulled up, let someone else deal with the Kamikaze. He didn't. Ishino could have aborted his dive, tried to find an easier target. He didn't. 2 men, 1 American, 1 Japanese, both willing to die. One succeeds, one fails. The difference is 800 feet and a split-second decision. Halsey understood this. Understood that for all his planning, all his tactics, all his experience, his life came down to a lieutenant in a fighter plane making a choice. That's why he attended Ishino's burial. That's why he kept the dent in Missouri's deck. Reminders that courage exists on both sides. That war is random and brutal and unfair. That today you're an admiral commanding a fleet. Tomorrow you're meat and wreckage floating in the Pacific. And there's no way to know which until it happens. William. Halsey lived 14 more years after that Kamikaze attack. 14 years he wouldn't have had if Murray had been 2 seconds slower. 14 years of life, family, peace. All because a fighter pilot from Sacramento decided to ram instead of retreat. Think about that next time someone tells you individual actions don't matter. That one person can't change history. Tell them about April 11th, 1945. Tell them about Admiral Halsey and the Kamikaze that missed.